Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? In the evening, Jinxi brought people into the palace to change the meals for dinner and personally attended to my bath. This was not her responsibility, as it was usually the job of Jingqing, Piner, and Pear to serve me. I knew she must have something to tell me, so I dismissed the others, leaving only her by my side. Jinxi gently wiped my body with rose petals, whispering, "There's news from Aunt Fengrua that the young master of Meizhuang is getting better. He's not crying all day and refusing food and water like before, and has gradually started to eat and drink quietly." I sighed with relief. That eases my mind. I was worried he might not see a way out. Jinxi comforted me. The young master of Meizhuang has always been spirited. It's unlikely he would give up like that. I am well aware. I suddenly remembered something, reached for my clothes to get up. But what about his food? Is there a chance someone might tamper with it? If he were poisoned and it was claimed he committed suicide out of guilt, there would be no evidence to the contrary. Jinxi hurriedly said, "You're overthinking it. The servants watching over the young master of Meizhuang will naturally be careful. If anything happens to him, they wouldn't be able to escape the blame." Thinking it over, it made sense, and I relaxed slightly, sitting back down to continue my bath. Jinxi said, "I've been watching for over half a year, and it seems your concern for the young master of Meizhuang exceeds even that for yourself. When he was pregnant, the emperor neglected you for several days. All the ladies in the palace were waiting to laugh at your and his misfortune, yet you treated him even more kindly, as if you were the one pregnant." I said emotionally, "The young master of Meizhuang and I have been close friends since childhood, from our secluded homes to this deep palace. We've always been together, incomparable to others. In this palace, apart from Lingrong, it's just me and him supporting each other to get by. Seeing him in such a state now, how can I not feel heartache and anxiety?" Jinxi seemed moved and said to me, "Your care for the young master of Meizhuang is reciprocated. He went to great lengths to have Aunt Fengrua deliver this to you, insisting it reach your hands." I eagerly took it and saw it was a small scroll of thin paper with just 8 words written on it. "Take care of yourself, support Lingrong." I had barely finished reading when tears fell, dampening the paper. With Meizhuang under house arrest in Yuruan Hall, he wouldn't have had access to pen and ink. I couldn't imagine how he managed to get this paper. Without pen and ink, these 8 words must have been written in blood, presumably from biting his own finger. My heart was filled with sorrow. "Meizhuang, even in your own peril, you still think of my well-being, concerned about me being alone, urging me to support Lingrong in rising to power." After reading the note, I quickly crumpled it and had Jinxi burn it in the incense burner. My heart wavered. I knew Lingrong was the only one I could trust and rely on by my side. But having been in the palace for nearly a year, Lingrong seemed to still have feelings for my brother, always avoiding meeting Xianling, and when they did meet, trying not to catch his attention. How could I force her to be close to a man she doesn't love? After the bath and changing into clean clothes, seeing it was getting late, I took Jinxi to visit Lingrong, with Luzhu and Huanbi following us with some fruits and silks. Lingrong's residence was located in a quiet courtyard near Yifu Pavilion. Besides her personal attendants, Baowan and Juqing, there were also 2 maids, Chuer and Xier, previously assigned to her by Meizhuang. Before even entering the courtyard, we could hear arguing. It was Chuer's voice. "It's one thing for the young master to keep to herself, but why drag us servants into her troubles? If we could serve under Shunchang for even a day, we'd enjoy some benefits, and it would be even better to serve under Zhan Jieyu. Not to mention that Jieyu is favored by the emperor, which would reflect well on us servants too." I signaled Jinxi and the others to stay outside and quietly listened at the entrance. Xier also complained, "It's not that we servants like to grumble, but following the young master, we haven't seen a single day of glory, only suffering." Lingrong spoke softly, "It's my fault as your master for making you suffer unjustly." Juqing, unable to contain her anger, said, "You're too kind-hearted, young master. They've become increasingly disrespectful towards you." Chuer disdainfully retorted, "The young master hasn't said anything. You're no different from us, so why should we listen to you?" Xier scoffed, "The young master thought she was really a master. Who knows if she'll ever have the fortune to become a noble consort in this lifetime, and be addressed as Master. Realizing her mistake, Lingrong was at a loss for words and just sat there, face flushed in the corridor. Juqing, unable to stand it, started to argue with them. Angered by what I heard, I couldn't hold back any longer and coldly huffed as I stepped inside. Everyone was startled to see me. Chuer and Sierra quickly stopped talking and rushed to greet me, smiling apologetically as they came forward to take the items from Luzhu and Huanbi. I gestured to stop them. There's no need for you two to lift a finger, that would be a crime. Ignoring them, I smiled at Juqing. Good girl, knowing to protect your master. Huanbi, give her a silver reward. Juqing hurriedly thanked me for the reward. Chuer and Sierra's faces turned from red to white, and they had no choice but to stand aside with embarrassed hands. I said, so you wish to be servants by my side? Serving me is no easy task. Your young master is kind enough to tolerate you, but I am not so forgiving and cannot stand servants who disregard their master. My expression darkened as I coldly continued. Jinsi, take them to the discipline department and tell the officials that these two are no longer fit for service. Make sure they are given 20 lashes each, and then sent to the laundry bureau to serve as slaves. Hearing this, they were terrified and knelt down, begging for mercy while crying profusely. I ignored their pleas and instructed Jinsi, after returning to the Empress, select 2 competent servants from the Internal Affairs Department to serve young Master Lingrong. Saying this, I took Lingrong's hand and we went inside together. I have always been amiable to the palace staff and rarely lost my temper. Today's outburst not only took Jinsi by surprise, but also made her ignore the crying and pleading maids as she hurried them away. Once inside the room with Lingrong, she looked embarrassed and said, Lingrong is useless, making sister laugh at me. I replied, you're too lenient with them. Haven't I told you before? If any palace maids or eunuchs misbehave, you should tell me. Sister Meizhuang used to look after you, and now I will do the same. Lingrong softly said. With all the troubles now, Sister Meizhuang in distress, and sister so busy, how could Lingrong be so inconsiderate as to bother you with these trivial matters? I patted her hand. We are as close as sisters, there's nothing we can't talk about. Seeing her still embarrassed, I changed the subject. You seemed to enjoy the lychees the other day. They were very sweet. I had some brought over today for you to try and see if they are as good as last time. Then pointing to the melon in Liuju's hands, this is a melon newly arrived from Tubo, specially brought for you. Lingrong's eyes shimmered with tears. Sister treats me so well, Lingrong, really. I quickly held her hand, playfully scolding. There you go again with those words. Then I had Luzhu cut the melon and we shared it. Lingrong's room felt small and became particularly stuffy under the afternoon sun. Without much conversation, the back of my shirt was slightly damp with sweat. I found it difficult to broach the topic entrusted by Meizhuang, and hesitated for a long time without uttering a word. By chance, I saw an unfinished embroidery piece on her table, and picked it up. It depicted a butterfly-loving flowers pattern, exquisitely stitched, with fine and lively details. Seeing me so engrossed, Lingrong blushed and reached out to take it back. I smiled. Your needlework has improved again. After a while I said, your craftsmanship is really good. Would you embroider a sachet for me? Lingrong smiled sweetly. Of course. Would sister like one with a butterfly-loving flowers design too? I pondered for a moment, then suddenly smiled. I don't want any butterfly-loving flowers. Do butterflies and flowers love each other equally? That's not good. Lingrong paused, then smiled. That's true. I'll embroider a pair of birds on the same branch for sister, wishing the emperor and sister a loving relationship. How about that? I smiled gently at her. Lingrong wishes for my love with the emperor, but doesn't she wish for the same with the emperor? Lingrong was startled and then lowered her head, saying, what is sister talking about? I dismissed the others around us and spoke earnestly. The question is, what were you doing that day? I paused. During the performance at Fuli Hall, what happened to you? Lingrong avoided my gaze and muttered softly. Nothing. I looked at her side and said with a smile, you think I was too busy dancing to notice? Your singing was indeed not bad, but it wasn't even half as good as your usual practice. Lingrong, did you do that on purpose? Lingrong's head hung even lower, looking more pitiable, making it hard for me to reprimand her. It was clear that she deliberately didn't put her heart into singing, because she feared attracting the emperor's favor, and no one understood better than I did why she didn't want to give her best. I sighed. Lingrong, how could I not understand your feelings? My gaze lingered on her for a moment. Lingrong, with her delicate figure and skin so pale it was almost transparent, had eyes like a frightened deer, her gentle gaze filtering through long lashes stirring emotions. I couldn't help but sigh. She was not stunning, but her appearance was enough to evoke pity and affection. Feeling uneasy under my gaze, Lingrong touched her cheek and asked shyly, "Why does sister look at me like that?" I picked up her embroidery piece, placed it on the table and smoothed it out. "Do you really want to spend your days embroidering while even the servants dare to mock you?" Lingrong fidgeted with her handkerchief, tying and untying knots, keeping her fingers busy, and remained silent. After a long while she managed to say, "Lingrong has little fortune. These days," I looked around the small chamber, "are not much better than when I was ill with Tongli fever." I stood up, straightened the disordered golden tassels on my hairpin, and with Huanbi's assistance started to leave. When we reached the gate, I turned back to Lingrong. "It's late and the wind is strong, go inside." "No need to see me out," Lingrong said. "Take care on your way, sister." I nodded, then suddenly remembered something and smiled brightly. A few days ago, brother sent a letter from the border, saying he could come home for a visit during next year's Lantern Festival. Seeing Lingrong's eyes light up like a bright, shimmering pool of spring water, her face unwittingly softened with a tender girlish charm. Knowing she still harbored feelings for my brother, I sighed silently in my heart. "Lingrong, don't blame me for being harsh. This attachment to my brother brings no benefit to your life." Hardening my heart, I forced a cheerful smile. "Father said that when brother returns, he must arrange a marriage for him. Having an elder daughter-in-law at home means extra care for everything. It would be a joyous occasion for our Zhen family." Upon hearing the news, Lingrong's body swayed slightly, and the light in her eyes dimmed instantly, like a red-hot coal quenched in water, sending up wisps of white smoke. My heart couldn't bear it. This reaction made me fear that she truly loved my brother. Yet, if I didn't do this, Lingrong would always harbor a sliver of hope for my brother, unable to let go of her feelings. The so-called cutting off one's arm to save oneself is truly a last resort. But in just a moment, Lingrong had steadied herself against the wall, regaining her composure with a gentle smile like pear blossoms scattered by the wind. "That is indeed a joyous occasion. The lady who marries young Master Zhen will surely be a woman of noble birth and virtuous character, possessing both beauty and grace. Lingrong congratulates sister in advance."
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.